but just probably need certain information to guide them on how to position themselves and witness that business take off to greater heights. So I'm hoping that in our engagement today, I'll be able to address some of the concerns that we may have in the presentations I've prepared. One of them I've prepared is the financial planning process, and this is a process that anyone who has a goal, a desire, should go through to see their business start, be maintained, and sustained to even growth. If you ignore the processes involved, chances are that you will not be able to see that business take off the way you intended to. So it's a very important process that I want us to go through. And in this, when I'm through with the presentation, just to affirm that you have actually appreciated the process involved, I'm going to divide you maybe because I expected a bit more people than this. Since we are few, we're just going to pick one project. It doesn't have to be anyone's project because the principles are the same. And we look at birthing this project. Certain key things we should ask ourselves before you actually start. What I want to emphasize this morning is, if you are planning to do a business, there are so many questions that you have to answer before you say, I am going to do this. If you do not have those answers ready, identified potential obstacles, try to think of how you are going to overcome them before you start, chances are that you may not be strong enough or have enough information to help you catapult or go past those hindrances. And that is where many of us give up. And just to emphasize that also, if you are planning to do something or you are into something, if you are not so passionate that you are willing to go through a season of learning, to go ahead and do what you desire to do. If you don't have that passion to go, you have to know this is it. It either works or it works. You have no plan B. So I want us to start from that point of view. Whatever we intend to do, plan for, and see it come to pass, we should be at that passionate position where it just has to work against all odds. And it doesn't matter how long it will take you. It does not matter how much you have to invest to get what you need, but it has to come to pass. So I am hoping I'm going to speak to that category of people who are determined to see things come to pass as they have planned. Okay? I am hoping we are at that page. So now, the second presentation I will take us through is the bookkeeping basics. Initially, I was of the view or had a mindset that I was talking to people whose businesses have taken off and probably they just need financial guidance on how to be on top of certain things in whatever maybe their businesses. But I was reminded that we also have this category of people who are small scale people, sell chapati, sell kabalagala, boot sales and what have you, who will also need some kind of guidance on how to do proper bookkeeping. Because without that, chances are that you will assume I'm making a lot of money. Why? Because you see all this money coming in, I've sold so much, worth so much, and you forget that some of that money is actually capital. You have to pay your suppliers where you got items from if you got them on credit. Some of us have borrowed money, okay, to start that business. The loan, they are waiting for it, or a friend who lent you money is actually expecting you to pay them over a period of time. So because of those dynamics that are involved, your bookkeeping has to be very good. You should be able to track your debtors, people who owe you money. You should be able to track your suppliers, people you've got things from and on credit. You should be able to track your loans, and how you can do that both personal loans and even in the bank, just to be compliant. So those are the two, and I'm hoping that before the end of the time I've been given, we shall be able to cover this comprehensively. I will welcome questions specifically towards the end, because some of the things you may be eager to ask, I have actually covered them in the presentation. So I'm starting with the financial planning process. Simply put, I'm saying it is the process of meeting your goals. We all have goals here. I don't know whether some of us want to share their goals. By show of your hand. A goal is something you've envisioned yourself doing that will earn you money. Please share some of your goals, because it will help me also appreciate the kind of range of ideas people have in mind that need to be supported. Anyone who wants to share their goal? Yes, Tasha. What do you see yourself? How do you see your business in the next 5 years? And maybe just to emphasize, if you're going to benefit from this training, you have to air out your views. No one has the correct answer. No one has the wrong answer. I want to assume all our answers are right. We are just seeking for clarity. Yes, please, Tasha.
My goal is to be an exporter of produce by 2025.
Do you have any specific places you intend to export to?
Yes, in the Equatorial East Africa.
East Africa.
Equatorial Africa.
Okay. Any specific destinations and what you want to export there?
Yes, I deal in produce, so any cereal that comes out of Uganda, I would like to send it out there.
Okay.
So just look at the international market.
Okay.
Starting from East Africa, West Africa, all international market.
Okay. That is good. But as we go through this process, you realize there are so many questions that she has to answer. If she is going to realize that goal, many of us have these dreams, but if it doesn't boil down to the specifics, how will I get there? Now you need to say, okay, if it is in Kenya that I want to start with, when should I start going there? Do I know the regulations there? What are they likely to tax me? What are the conditions they are put in place for those things? Now this is homework you're doing before you begin launching to say, I am going. If you do not answer certain questions before you get started and invest your money, chances are that you may eventually start something that you can't sustain and back off and realize, okay, I think I should have got partners because now this is requiring more money. So I'm hoping this process is going to help us. It is meant to help us meet our life financial goals or things that we intend to do. Now this is a process we are going to go through. For any business that you are starting or are doing, you may not have done it initially. It is never too late, but we have to go through this process. The number one key thing is to analyze your financial situation. You need to know. Some of the businesses we are planning to venture in or are involved in require a lot of money. But before you can say, I'm going to borrow, or I'm going to partner, or I'm going to do this and that, what is your financial situation? When you analyze yourself, by that I mean, how much money do you have to start that? What I want to discourage us from doing is to borrow money to start a business. You are just starting on a very wrong footing. Why? the interest alone they are going to charge you by the bank, you may not even be able to make that profit in the first year or in the second year. Let's give a worst case scenario of 19%. If you look at businesses around, how many businesses are able to give you 19% profit at the end of every month? Okay, that is an annual rate, the 19%. But I'm just saying, you look at it. Most businesses, you are making a profit of 5%. The ones that are very lucrative, 10%. So chances are that you are going to fail. So the best place to start is to raise enough capital from your savings, from whatever you need to first, so that you are launching out into a field you may not have an experience about, but you know this is my money. I don't owe anyone anything. And maybe just to emphasize, we may have the big dreams, but probably you're better off starting small, so that you learn lessons from a small scale. A case in point, your goal could be opening up a chain of restaurants around town. Okay? How many? I want 5. Located where? You've answered that question. Serving what? You've already noted that. But when I look at my financial situation right now, I only have 100,000. I'll be discouraged from that goal, and yet I can achieve it by looking at my 100,000 and I say, you know what, I think I just better give up. And yet I could start preparing maybe meals in busy places, or I say, to penetrate that, let me start by supplying food already prepared at my house. With that 100,000, I prepare food nicely. I approach these offices in town and I supply food in the offices. You are aiming at a restaurant, but you're starting by doing something small at your house with the little money that you have, through increased sales and maintaining what you stand for, that is quality. Then they begin recommending to other offices. Before you know it, you've raised some good amount of money that can now permit you to say, I can now rent an office or a place in town so that I reduce on my transportation costs, and some of my customers now can find me where I am. So I am emphasizing the need for analyzing our financial situation. Now, for the business we are going to plan for, we are going to say, okay, this is where we are. We are a group of 5 people. We want to start this business. How much money do we need? You may not have the conclusive picture of how much you need, because as you go through these other processes, you actually realize we need more money. We need more money. And so I would expect that you are making certain decisions and adjustments as you go along. But let's say our business is going to require 1 million. This is what we are going to do. How are we going to raise 1 million? We are 5 of us. Every one of you look for 200,000. We are analyzing. Then now, after we've analyzed, we say, what are we exactly going to do about this business? This is what we intend to do. We are going to do A, we are going to buy this, we are going to buy that, depending on the business you're going to do. We would want that documented and written down, because that is what is going, the things we are discussing there, the financial goals we are setting. They are the ones helping us to birth that business and have it kick-started and ongoing. And in your planning, in your presentation, as we shall go through that process, I would want you to tell us, when we looked at our business and where we are going to start it from, these are our likely challenges that we are going to face. So in your presentation, I would expect you to say, these are our likely bottlenecks. We are likely to have this challenge, we are likely to have this challenge, we are likely to have this challenge. It would be nice to know that you are aware of the limitations that you face as a potential investor and business. Before you get started, remember these are processes you're supposed to go through before you get started. Some of us have already started, which is okay. But probably we can use this opportunity to review and say, okay, some of these I've already encountered. Maybe some I haven't yet even found possible solutions to them. But I'm hoping that in our interaction, we'll be able to figure out some of the ways we can overcome some of the bottlenecks we have right now. And then don't only identify the bottlenecks, because I want to know that you're mindful of the challenges. Also go ahead to say, for this particular one, this is what we've decided we are going to do. It may not be conclusive. Probably you may be advised otherwise by the other party that are listening in, but it's good to know that you're thinking of solutions. Do not leave anything unattended to that stands as an obstacle in the business that you are planning for. So, in identifying potential solutions to some of those challenges, you then decide, this is what we are going to do. Now, by developing an action plan, I'm simply saying, you say, on this day, we are going to do this. These are the people going to be involved, and this is the resources we require, and by this time we should have been able to resolve this. You are responsible for this, you are responsible for that. You assign duties and responsibilities in your plan to address some of those things. Because if you do not even put a timeline, allocate resources, assign responsibilities, chances are that you may not be able to realize that business actually take off. So we need an implementation, action plan, and then of course we will discuss how you monitor and how you review the progress of whatever it is you set out to do. Now, it would be a very good idea at the end of the exercise if you can tell us, for us, this is how we are going to monitor our business. We will meet maybe on this day, every end of month, to see how much we've made so far, what are the new challenges we are facing, how we are going to resolve this, and this is what we are going to do about it. So basically, I'm just taking us through a process that any person who owns a business or intends to own a business needs to go through if you are going to realize any progress. Now, I'm going to take us through analyzing your financial situation. As you can see, I'm emphasizing the need for us to do that before you actually invest your money in such things. Tasha has told us she's exploring the exportation of her items, but before she does, this is very important. Okay? Now, projecting your startup, funding. You're going to require more money than you do when you are having a local business. So, ask yourself, how much capital will I need to start the exportation of these items? Okay? How many people do I need to help me raise that money? Now, some of these amounts we are talking about capital investment, it is out of research. You've got to contact people who are actually exporting items, find out from them. What are the items? Probably you are looking at an assortment of things, and yet maybe that is not what you need. The market maybe you are targeting, they have some of those in plenty, and maybe you just need to export one item. Doing a market research of your targeted market is very important. You will discover that you do not even need to spend on certain things because you've done your survey. I'll give you an example. A story is told of a gentleman who was told about Irish from Kabali, and how so many people love that Irish, and that if he could only get a truck full of Irish, that would be the end of his poverty. This gentleman goes, he resigns, He got his terminal benefits. What did he do? He hired a car, a truck from here, Kampala here. He went to Kabale, packed. He thought that when he arrives in Kabale, people will just be running to him because he has his money. I have my Irish, I have my Irish. He hadn't done market survey. His challenge was some of these people had already their regular committed buyers. People who have already even bought fields. You understand? It wasn't just an issue of showing up with a truck and money. He needed to have done his networks. That is the same thing I'm saying about Asha's business. There are people already in that market. What are you going to do that is so different from them that they would prefer your produce that is coming from Uganda? So the way you position yourself will depend on your findings before you actually do what? Launch there. So this gentleman, he was frustrated, number one, that people were not willing to sell to him. Not that they don't have the Irish, but they have their committed buyers. That was number one. So what did he resort to? Because he was determined to come back to Kampala and sell his truck of Irish. He begins now buying from individuals. They all had varying, depending on how desperate he looked. They all had varying what? Prices. At the end of the day, what he was told was a bit different. Now, it also took him longer than he expected to get the truck full of Irish. Remember, there is Irish he bought on the first day, on the second day, on the third day. He ignored the fact that it is one of those perishable items. He's busy accumulating and adding. Eventually, he was able to meet his target of a full truck of Irish. And he says, if I can only show up at Owino, Nakawa Market, I'm done. He showed up. Owino. They have their suppliers. You understand? So he's there telling people, you know, you can buy. Blah. He said, but my supply is bring tomorrow. No, I've already talked to mine. The stock I have is for a week. Maybe if you can come back the other week. You know? And because he's now getting desperate, the few who are willing to buy are actually underpricing. He left that market, went Nakawa, began moving around desperately. Little did he know that he's Irish. And the way he was selling it, of course, the one on top, which was the most recent, is what he was selling off. But he had started accumulating Irish. Sometime back, the bottom one is beginning to what? To rot. He even had no idea that I think I should get rid of this truck guy. Since he has gone and brought me back. He stayed with his Irish and moving around with this guy desperately looking for market. At the end of the day, he realizes, you know what? I am getting so frustrated with this. He took things, packed them at home in their sacks. He never knew that Irish, you don't keep it in sacks. That warmth makes them get rotten even faster. You put it on the floor. Or you know what? School fees. Something I would want to advise. You would want those big, giant businesses. But let us start small and learn with small investments. That's why I'm emphasizing. Begin with what you have. Before you say, I'm going to borrow to launch big and surprise everyone. Let us not plan to surprise anyone because you will end up surprising yourself. Amen. Okay? Let us start small, but do research. Do research. And like I started, let it be something you're passionate about. That even if I lost my first attempt, I am so passionate about this thing that I'll be back even tomorrow. And the other day. If you are not yet at that level of commitment, any discouragement that comes your way, you will give up. So members, we have to be so passionate. Number two, we have to research. Do not just step into territories. It's good to have a dream. And I encourage us to pursue all those dreams. But do enough research. Identify people who have done what you want to do and have been successful. They may not give you all their secrets, but they are not the only ones. Look for another one. And all you're looking at is not the discouraging and limitation things they talk about, but at how can I overcome some of these things. Those are the things I'm saying. They will tell you, in this market you need people who are willing to buy ready market, because what you're dealing in is fresh supplies. And you say, okay, now I have a challenge. Me, I don't have any customer who is ready to buy my item. So where am I going to devote my effort? How am I going to overcome this obstacle? Then you begin thinking, now I need to start from here. Maybe HOR can be my target. How do I target them? To begin getting regular people who can buy from me. We need to do market research and get as much information as possible. Mainly information that helps us overcome the potential pitfalls that we anticipate from whatever it is we are planning to do. That is when we shall be able to be successful. Now, it would be a very good idea to begin with many people. You say, I have a dream, and it requires so much people. Let's put money together. It's very good, but in the event that it doesn't work out, some of those people that you are trying to do things together with, when you have not yet tested the waters yourself, some may not be willing to, especially when they realize you don't have enough money. It would be worse if even you're not knowledgeable in the field you're trying to invest in. So, I would highly recommend that you start your thing. A case in point, you want to do a poultry farm, a giant one, you've got acres. You start on a small scale. Learn certain things. This is how they behave. Or if they get this illness, this is what you do. Or you can avoid this by introducing this and that. Learn on a small scale so that you are an expert yourself on small scale with your money before you bring in people who will eventually stress you, get so frustrated with you, and whatever it is, want to pull out their money to live, and yet you've already invested it and you can't pay back. So to avoid that stress, start your thing. Try to understand it. See how it works. Learn from your mistakes so that by the time you invite in other people, when they ask this, you know what to tell them based on experience. You will definitely meet more challenges along the way, but it's okay. You will not be naive yourself as you venture into all this. Otherwise, it makes you begin fidgeting around, panicking, and even make more mistakes as you try to see how to get out of that situation. So, but if you realize where I am right now, I see this works and it's likely to pay off. You can tell people with confidence that if you invest so much with me, this is what I guarantee based on my experience and what I've done before. Then you look for those people that you need for the additional capital that you require. Okay? So you would now need to know how much is each one going to contribute. Answer the question, how will they benefit? Because that is the only way people will be willing to partner with you. You should be able to tell them, this is what I guarantee. Because you have been there. And you have known how the business works. And with some level of certainty, there is a certain amount of money you actually expect from such a return. Now, you need to be able to answer what are our sources of funding and how much will they cost us in the event that you choose to borrow. Don't just say we need an additional 10 million, but we can just go to a bank and they lend us. You should be able to know what that cost has on your business. That is just looking at the funding that you may require just to birth or grow that business that you want to expand. The questions can be so many. I just brought a few to trigger our thought process. Now, when it comes to spending, someone who is just starting, you should make sure your expenditure is as low as possible. Don't want to say, I want to start a restaurant, and from the word go, you have like 3 cooks, you have like what, and then this one mixes the juice and what, the ideal that you would want later on. Maybe you may need to do them yourself for starters. And not in town, but having analyzed your situation. Maybe if I did all these things at my house, with my house help, if you have one, that you're paying a monthly salary, you're trying to cut costs, you are like, this is part of your responsibility. Maybe add something for that additional responsibility. And then, my other cost is to transport these items to where they are needed. Here and there, I can use a taxi, I can use a border B, I can, But it's very, very important to think about starting small even with your expenditure. When you're starting a business, okay, identify who your target clients are and see how you can cost effectively access them and deliver whatever it is they need. Now, things to do with how much space do we need and what are the costs. Now, those are people who have started something at a very low cost and now they are thinking, let me grow this business. I've realized that most of my customers are in town. Not town everywhere, but specifically I've managed to penetrate this category of people. And these people don't want me to go there saying, if I could only get a premise nearby. Now you begin making a decision to step to where your customers are. Not to look for them, but that they may be able to access you because now they already exist. Okay? Then where will we locate our business? Those are questions you begin thinking about. Do we need to pay rent wherever we are planning to get to? The market we've identified, and we are sure people are interested in what we are offering. Will we need to pay rent? Or we can organize in, it depends on what business you're offering. It could be that you're offering professional services and probably going to a hotel because you've realized that is your target. Instead of renting in town, you say, you know what, I'll go to a hotel, have my business engagements there in a hotel setting. All I need is to ask for a few drinks in their compound, and we discuss business. And when we are done, I deliver on whatever we've agreed upon, rather than renting. So it depends on what exactly you want to do. But what I'm emphasizing here, when you are starting a business and you're not yet at those levels where you can afford certain luxuries, you start small. Do we have the facilities or working tools? It depends on what you're planning to do. How much will they cost us? All these you are thinking about before you actually even start. We may have already started, but it doesn't stop us from reviewing some of these things. Do you have a trading license? Do you require one? Or one of these days, KCCA will be hunting you down and disorganizing your businesses. Okay? What are the other startup costs that I need to get into that territory that I would want to get into? Do we have the required skills? You may find that some of the things we want to venture in, we have no experience. Someone has just talked about it, that by the way, poultry farming, we are making money. And you ask how much on a month, I make 5 million, say that's it. You have no skills at all. It will be a disservice to you if you know you don't have the skills and you even don't go ahead to find out the required skills. Over time, I have learned that the best way to acquire certain skills is not remotely. Okay? You have to step into the waters. I was told of a certain lady. She was told that there is this place, I'm going to use Chiembe because I've forgotten the name, that they sell clothes on a daily. They sell so many clothes. So she got her retirement benefits, went to the UK, shopped what for her she loves and what she would want to wear. Because she had acquired a stall there. She said, these people are selling. What were these funny things? Me, I'm going to bring UK standard. She brought. Little did she know that the kind of people that go there, that place has now been known for a certain category of people. And for them, that's what they want. Yellow, orange, red. Shouting clothes. And that from experience, people had realized they don't even buy for boys. For some reason, whoever comes, the buyers that come, are looking for girls' clothes. So your nice jeans, your nice whatever, for her that is what she stocked. Only to realize her business was positioned in a place where the kind of product she was willing to sell is not what they want. Probably that should be on Kampala Road. Certain particular places. Okay? So she ended up into serious business. Financial challenges. And maybe just to emphasize that it's important to really, I don't know how I can re-emphasize that, to know a lot about the space you're trying to step in. A story is told of a man, but I'm so glad that this man bounced back. He reached retirement. I know some of us are working and we are targeting that NSSF money, and that is when you plan to invest, because now you have a certain amount of money. Remember, your youthful years, you've used them to serve your bosses. All you have known is doing work in office. And here you are, you're planning in your retirement to start a new business. So this man fell into that trap. He begins a business. He's told of a building in town. They were renting space. He went and he said, you know what, with the money I have, I quickly better first book this event for a year before I go and do what? The shopping. He was interested in shoes and bags. So he booked for a year. He left to go. I don't know whether China or whatever. He bought shoes, he bought whatever, he bought what. Now he wasn't aware about the taxes and how they assess those things. By the time he came, he had done a lot of shopping with the money he had. He barely had any money to clear taxes. Now his things were held up there. He's looking for people. He's telling them, I have these things. They're just in Akawa. If you can only lend me money, and people are saying, how are you going to pay that? We will sell. When are you going to sell? Where are you selling from? And as he's going through his back and forth, he had not known that the people who actually told him about that rental place, they were planning to demolish that building in town. Now he's going through his back and forth. He's not even checking. He's assured he has paid for a whole year. One day he passes by, only to find they have put those bibati. The place is going to be demolished. He said, what is happening? I just paid for a year. He said, to who? You know? Ultimately, the place was demolished because someone else had bought the place. That is money lost. His things are still stuck in Akawa. By the time he got those things out, he had nowhere to sell them from. And now he's desperate. He has borrowed money from people. Things were going at a giveaway price. And at the end of the day, he did not make any money. The little he was able to secure, he bounced back. He went to Owino. I don't know whether you people are aware that from about 4 to 5:30, a shoe that you buy at 10, 15,000 from about 6:30 to throughout the day is actually sold at 5K. 5K, 3K, 2K. He got research. He went into that market. He would be there as early as 4 to pick those shoes for children, for adults, for girls, for men. 5K, 3K, 2K. He accumulated, he would pick them in sacks. Guess where he would come? Because he didn't have any place, he came to Room Street. He would display them there and sell them quickly. And the following, whatever he's back, he got to know the people who actually bring in those shoes. And he got to know that that is a thing that he did. Because he was so passionate about shoes and bags, it's what he continued to do. He didn't care whether his former colleagues would find him on the street trying to sell second-hand shoes. To him, it wasn't important. And that is why I said, in whatever you are planning to do, you should be so passionate about it that it's not an embarrassment, or people's opinion about whatever you're doing cannot make you change your mind. Because if that is where you stand, please don't even start. Because that is a business waiting to fail. Okay? Let us do things that we are passionate about, and we don't mind how people perceive us as we do whatever it is we are doing. That man bounced back. Many years down the road, he has a shop, I'm told, in town. For him, he doesn't rent these sections. It is a whole shop, it is his. He imports those things in China, from China and what have you. He was able to bounce back because he was passionate about it. So members, let us be knowledgeable. Even if you're going to rent, do due diligence so that you're not robbed or even cheated. So trading license, do we have the required skills? That one, I think I cannot re-emphasize it. I've already told us we need the skills. We need certain skills. You need, like for instance, if you're doing a business, numerical skills. You should be able, someone tells you this and you say, okay, if I sell it at this, quickly you are able to tell, wanonkola. Wano sitawo. Those kind of skills. Customer care. You handle your people very well, that they are willing to come back and live and forsake all the others because of the way you handle them. There are certain skills we need, which I have not addressed here, but I'm sure we all know some of those skills that we need. Now, even as you're planning your business, you should know who your target customer is going to be. Many of us are just presenting our things, planning to present our things, with the hope that everyone is going to come running to us, like that gentleman of Irish. We are not going to be that kind of people. We have to know who are our targeted customers. What do they want? What will make them come to me and not the other shop? Okay? So our targeted customers, because they are the ones that are going to guide our revenue that we are anticipating. Remember, you have to anticipate your revenue, even in this project we are going to do. I want you to tell us that, man, this is how much we expect to earn in the first month, in the second month, in the third month, with a certain level of what? Certainty, because you have identified our customers that we are targeting are actually willing to pay this price for this kind of thing that we're willing to give. And if I can get 10 or I get 20 in a period of this much, I'm going to get 30, and that is how they are going to grow from 10 to 30 in this period. These are the things we are actually going to do. Now, so your target customer segment is important. The service you're going to offer them is very important. Some people, if you're targeting high class people, packaging is important. The way you package your item, okay? And where you're positioned, they should be easily accessible. Otherwise, you will be in a village like ours in Lugo, and you're thinking, my target customers are going to be the high class, and yet you're surrounded by villagers. So if the villagers around who have a certain level of income cannot be able to help you meet that target, and your target is that high class, then figure out, what am I going to do to get to where they are? Okay? So you answer those questions even before. And how will I package this? That they will be able to continuously keep coming back to me. What will be your selling price? You've got to answer that. Many times you cannot comfortably answer that selling price. If at all you've not established how much will it cost me. Many of us are buying things, you buy things and you're saying, I'm going to sell it at this. Have you factored in the transportation cost if you're going to move that item to where your customer is? Have you factored in the airtime that you spend calling up and following up these customers? Have you factored in these small little things? You go buy from other people, get things together, but there is transport involved even in getting the items that you're going to sell. Some of us, make the items that we sell. Have you factored in everything that if I'm selling cakes, I'm going to sell cakes? All the ingredients involved have been catered for in that cake that I'm going to sell. It's very important that when you're coming up with your pricing, you are very comfortable and very knowledgeable about your costs, making sure that you are picking, including your salary. Many of us have businesses, and as we are paying everyone else, the suppliers, people we are not paying ourselves. At the end of the day, you'll be so discouraged when you realize that I do so much, make life better for others, bring things to people at their convenience, and yet at the end of the day, there is no reward to you. You're struggling with the transport, you're struggling with even meeting your needs at home. You have no salary. You've got to factor in your salary. That if I'm going to sell an item at 2,000, my salary is maybe 200 shillings on every item sold. And then I'm carrying transport. That has also been catered in your pricing. Please, as you're coming up with your pricing model, consider your reward as well. Because you are the person driving this business. If at all, you are still a single person, trying to push forward a product. But in case you have even other people who have invested, you've got to factor in their reward in whatever it is you're selling. Otherwise, at the end of the day, they will say, I have invested so much, but I've not seen any reward come forth. You will not be able to tell people the stories of let us wait for the business to pick up. When will it pick up? When will I be rewarded for my investment? Okay? So, in your selling price, please always consider even other costs that many times we ignore. Other prospective clients able to pay the selling price? You've got to ask yourself, you don't just come up and you say, for me, I sell my OD at 10,000. Is that what people are buying at? Chances are that what you're selling at 10 is being sold by the people around you at 5,000. Okay? So you're not on an island. You've got to establish the price I'm using. Is it helping me penetrate the market? All people will eventually, but if people are willing to pay high price, there should be something you've done different from the others that are selling at whatever price. So then you look at your value adds, those things that you are packaging with your product that people are willing to pay. I've also noticed that if at all your targeted clientele is high end, there are things they want. Convenience. You may be selling your peanut butter at 10,000 and you say, you know what, they may be selling at 5, me I will sell it at 10. But my customers, I'm going to look for those ones that can afford to pay that. What do they want? They don't want to go to the supermarkets. They want outside their office, I deliver. So then you target those ones. Let us not shy away from certain opportunities because of what surrounds us. Many times if you are able to go through a thought process and rethink of who exactly you're targeting, you may be able to get a high price, selling price for the item, having targeted the right people and grown to know what actually they are willing to pay for. So let that not limit us. Our surroundings where we are, we can even reach others who are willing to pay that kind of price. How many customers are we targeting? It's good to know a period of time. Don't move blindly and you hope your revenue, your clientele will grow somehow. Be deliberate. Say, I am starting with 10. Who are those 10? Number 1, number 2, so and so, so and so. Fine, I now know who I am targeting. Contact them. I have this and this is how it is and I'm willing to sell it at so much. Having known if they are really interested or not, you go ahead to plan for them, to meet their expectations. Okay? And then you plan deliberately. When I have got this, how do I intend to get the next 10? What am I going to do? All that requires thinking. And members, I'm calling us to a place of thinking. Thinking. When you are in your quiet moments, you think. You ask God for wisdom. You tell God, how can I penetrate this market? Think and think and think. And don't only think, put it on paper. These are my strategies. I am planning to increase my clientele by 10. By the next month, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to talk to so and so. What about these referrals? You know, think. If you are limited, share with the people. These are the kind of people I'm targeting. What do you think? How can I access this, whatever? Sometimes you need counsel and advice from other people, especially people who are in the kind of business that you are involved in. How much will it cost you to achieve your set target? Sometimes you need to part with some money, either doing flyers or, whatever. Sometimes you may need to give promotions. There's someone who was talking to me, we have these items that are soon expiring. And that is why it's very good to share. And we are in a supermarket. What do we do? I said, every month, just create a culture of saying you have promotions. Now, the things that you put on promotion are the ones that have a short shelf life. They are soon to expire. And if you realize that item alone they may not buy, bundle. Put it with another fast-moving one. It may not be soon to expire, but from your records you realize, people like Fanta. So now if it is chocolate that is soon expiring, bundle chocolate and Fanta, so that you don't have to throw away the what? And then you make people realize, every end of month we better check. Those people usually have promotions. They may not know the intention behind that actually you're getting rid of soon expiring items. But now you get people beginning to think every end of month we better check. People are going back to school, we better pass by that supermarket. Okay? But how do such ideas come? You share with people. You identify challenges and you actually talk about it. And sometimes it may cost you, because now that item that is soon to expire, probably you're selling it at a discount. You may be saying, no, I need to make a profit. But I mean, you stand a chance of getting nothing. Probably sell it at cost with another item so that you realize an increase in sales for yet another item as well. We have to be thinking that way. It's very important to know your targeted profit on each item. Do not just come up with prices and say, this one I tell it 5,000, this one 10, this one 15. What is your target profit? Because you may need to make certain adjustments as prices go up. Because many of us, we cap. You say, that one I sell it at 5,000. Then your price at which you buy these items keeps increasing, eating away your profit, and you're not making the necessary adjustments. Okay? Many times you realize that you can get an item, and I've noticed that whenever we buy things in bulk, you are likely to get the unit cost per item at a lower price. So if buying things in bulk, you feel, I don't have that much money to buy, why don't you team up with other people that are actually dealing in that product? You buy things in bulk at a discounted price. You come package them the way you want. You have a bigger profit margin. You are in line with what everyone is selling, but yours at a lower price. Okay? So that is very important. Know your targeted profit. And keeping in mind that a time comes when the prices keep going up. If you had a wider space to play around with, the better for you, as others are planning to increase because they don't have the benefit of bulk purchases. That is not a challenge for you. You can as well maintain your price, and people come to buy because you're cheaper, not because of anything, but you figured out how to buy things at a lower cost. Now, even operation costs as you're running your business. These are costs that you incur day in and day out. It may be that you have someone who helps you fry your kabalagala, that you have to pay an allowance. Don't ignore those costs. Maybe you pay transport for someone to come and do the selling for you. Don't ignore such. Maybe you incur transport going to deliver or sell or whatever it is you're doing. Don't ignore such costs, including your salary, like I said. You need to know who is going to monitor that business. From what studies have revealed, as long as you delegate your business to someone else, chances are that it will never take off. You've got to be in it. Do not delegate. You have to be there. Whatever it is that you have invested your money in, let it be so dear to you that you have to be there. I have a staff who was telling me, you know what, she's a nurse. She says, you know what, I think I realize I need to kickstart my clinic, to make money. My friends are making money. And I simply ask one question: are you ready to go and be there to monitor that business and be there? She says, no, I have a friend who is also competent. That person is going to help me. I said, you're going to get so frustrated. One, that person won't handle customers the way you would want to handle them. Meaning, depending on how they are treated, they may never come back. Number two, they will make money that they will not disclose. You're not there. There are certain decisions you as a business owner can make. A case in point, someone comes in, they want to buy many things at a slightly lower price. You as a business owner, you can make a certain decision and say, you know what, let me give it to you. And you come up with certain other stringent measures on grounds that you will be buying this regularly. A person you're living for, your business, may not make certain decisions. They will just let that customer go away. What am I trying to say? We need to be in our businesses. You cannot delegate. So I told that lady, if you really know that is what you want to do, now is the time to start saving for that strategically positioned clinic that you want. At the time you're saying, I'm now launching my business, and you don't have a place where you can rent, and you're targeting a certain location, you should be able to pay maybe a year upfront rent from your savings, be able to buy certain things, the medication, the what and what, from your savings. So I said, this is how much you earn, this is how much you're going to now save towards that. Just make sure your savings are high so that you don't need to borrow to start that business when you say, I am now ready to start. And that is what she's now doing. But this is someone who intends to start a what? A clinic. At the moment she's busy with fundraising, because she appreciated the fact that she needs to be there to make sure she delivers on what she has set out to do. So it's very important who is going to monitor your business and at what cost. Are you going to pay them a salary? So when do you intend to start your business? Or when do you intend to expand your business? Please have those questions answered. What will it require for you to do what? To you to be able to expand or implement it. Now, this is our second bit of it, developing financial goals. We all have certain financial goals in mind. I've talked about a number of them. But like I said, we need to think, where do I want to be in the next, you may be starting by the end of the year. Where do I want to see myself? What do I want to do? But it's also very good to have long term, because then it guides the decisions that you're making on a daily, on a monthly, and as the years go by. And it's very good to have these goals documented. Very good. One, you say, this is the activity, it can be a table. On this day, I'm going to for example, acquire land. Probably I want to invest in an orchard. I want to be supplying fresh fruits to all the supermarkets in Chisasi, for example. And you say, on this day, I am starting to save. If you don't have the money to buy land, where am I buying this land? Then you find out, where can I buy land? The soil that is good enough, that won't require a lot of input in terms of rain, watering and what have you. It could be that it's vegetables you want to sell. You identify the land. You say, I'm going to do, in this season, I'm going to look for land. Find out how much land is in particular places that you have targeted. Having identified that, how much will it cost me? Do I have the money? No, I don't. So on this day, from this day to this day, I'm raising money. I am working, I earn a salary. If I can put aside so much every month in such and such a place for this period of time, around this time, which is this day, in this month, I should have raised enough money to go and get land in such and such a place that I intended to. That is what I'm talking about. You have to be deliberate on exactly what you intend to do. Now, this was just an example. As you set out your goals, number one, they should be smart. An example, I'm going to start a primary school. Not secondary, not infant, I'm being specific, not tertiary, it is a primary school. Being very specific. I'm going to grow vegetables to supply supermarkets. You're being specific. It is vegetables. Which ones? Am I going to target the ones that everyone is selling? Will I be competitive? Or I should target the ones that are for luxurious people. These rich people that they want. What do they usually want? Then you are that specific. Me, I'm going to deal in this, I'm going to deal in this, and I'm going to deal in this. You're being specific. Okay? And you're even being specific on where you want to target and the kind of people you're targeting. Okay? It should be measurable. How much do you want to sell? And how often? I've come to learn that people don't want to do business with people who have plenty today. The next week they ask you and you say, I am sorry, I have run out of supplies. They won't call you again. So if you know you're not the owner of the items, you're not the source of the supply, and you don't have that ability to sustain supply, probably don't start big. Going to places where they demand so much volumes and you can only supply 1-2 months and you're done. If you intend to do that, then identify other people that you can network with that are dealing in what you have. If you're not yet sure of your backlink, the people that feed into your business, in terms of giving you the supplies that you need to sustain your market, first back off. First be sure of your supply. Back off and be sure. Because you cannot start and halfway of the journey, you have excuses and explanations as to why. There are certain things people will not listen to. They want to do businesses with people who can sustain, because they are also promising their customers, if at all they are not the end users. So sustainable supply is important. If you do not have enough, probably you should start small, but most importantly, plan to be able to sustain a big supply. If you don't have the capability, find out who you can partner with in terms of supplying you to supply your markets. And they should also be more reliable. The more of such people you have, the better for you. It should be attainable. Like I said, compare with the people around you. You shouldn't be an outlier, charging exorbitantly, and yet there is nothing special you are offering different from everyone else that is around you. Be realistic, okay, in your projections. You can't say, I'm going to supply your supermarkets vegetables, and yet you even don't have the source or the supply for the same. Okay? And always have a time bound. You have to have timelines with it, because that is what keeps you thinking and on your toes. Members don't just sit there and you think somehow next year around this time I'll be at this level. How? There should be certain things you are planning and on paper, deliberate steps you are going to undertake. That on this time, around this time, I will be doing this. I need to have an engagement with someone like this who is helping me with this. And with this is what I expect as a return from this engagement. Let us be deliberate. Around this time, I should have identified another person who can feed in my business. Why? Around this time, I plan to supply so many tons of so much. Let us put timelines to everything that we intend to do. If we are going to realize our goals, okay? The idea, I said we would come up with one. Now that we're a bit many, we'll have to maybe split it into two. So I expect us to go through that thought process, and we'll make that presentation. In whatever it is you're going to plan, let us look at potential challenges we are likely to face. From the start I said, identify your potential challenges. Okay? We identify those potential challenges and come up with realistic mitigation measures. This is what I'm going to do. I'm stepping into the field of supplying fruits. To be specific, mangoes. I only have one mango tree. Okay? Now, what am I going to do? It's a challenge. A few months down the road, I won't have mangoes. So you begin thinking, now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to look around on the whole village, people who have mangoes and are willing to sell to me. And at what price? What kind of mangoes do they have? So that I already engage even my buyers. That I have this type of mango. It's different from this. This is a sample. You're preparing yourself to be able to try to meet the targeted market that we have. Developing action plans, like I was telling you, you've identified I'm likely to run out of the supply of mangoes because I only have one tree. So my action plan, I need about 10 suppliers. Of which type of mango, this is what I need. In the event that they don't have, what others? And will my customers accept? I need to also go and try to interest my customers. So action plans, that is effective work plans. This is what we are going to do to overcome those likely challenges that we've anticipated before we launch into the deep. Okay? And their time plan, whatever. Then we can say we are now going to launch, and the monitoring, reviewing of our plans, those are other things that come on later on when you look at how we're now performing. It's very good to review. A month down the road, if you're just starting, the second month, how much have I been able to sell? How am I doing vis-a-vis what I plan to do? Okay? And then you come up with mitigation measures again, all corrections of actions. You may have said this is how we are going to do it, but you realize you're having challenges to implement, so you're back to the drawing table, members, or with your family, or with yourself. I am having these challenges, or with your mentors. Fortunately, at HOR, we have a platform now where people can meet and share ideas. Please share your challenges and allow people advice. When you're given an opportunity to speak out a challenge, or don't shy away from it. It's an opportunity and a platform you have to actually overcome some of these things. So that is just a process again. Now this is for people who have already got started. They've mastered the art. They are not just starting a business. They want to probably increase income. You also go through that same process. How will I increase my income? Because you're already earning. Now, how do I reduce my costs? It's always good to sit back and say, how do I work smarter at a cheaper cost? Always think about this process. Increasing income, reducing costs, and because you're already in business and are earning, as much as possible, eliminate debt. Try to pay your debtors, because many of those debts have interest attached to it. That is encroaching on your profit at the end of the day. So as much as possible, try to get out of debt as quickly as possible. Pay people who owe you money. Who you owe money, as much as possible. And begin building cash reserves where you cannot easily get them. It can be a policy that you have, that at the end of every month, I have made so much. As I tithe, 10% goes to my cash reserves. Now that is money you're going to use to reinvest in case you want to get bigger or to expand your business. And then you repeat the process. Okay? There are benefits of going through such thought process, like I've told you. One, you will increase the probability of achieving your financial goals, as you've noticed, because you've gone through the thought process. It will save you from the possible pitfalls in the financial world. Why? You anticipated these pitfalls. You consulted, came up with action plans, and actually implemented. So as others are failing because they are being surprised by these things, you've already figured out that I have a problem before even you expanded or got into a certain business. You get direct control of your finances, how much you earn, how much you need to implement. You're not going to be surprised grossly like someone who will wake up today and say, I am going to do this business, because they think they have a certain amount of money, and haven't gone through this thought process, only to discover they need this other cost, they need this other cost, and they can no longer afford, but they have already sunk in their money. Okay? So when you go through this process, you avoid such. You will be more focused because you have come up with smart goals. You will have estimates of what to expect from your investment. You'll be very realistic with yourself because you've gone through the thought process. You will have proper financial risk management and plans in place because of that process that we are saying we are going through. You will have superior quality of financial decisions and ultimately your financial life as well. I don't know whether we have any questions. I would be glad to. Yes, please. Identifying potential challenges to your business. Which one? Okay. The smart. Being realistic. Yeah. Okay. They are different in spelling, but also something that is realistic is something that you know you can rely on. It will be achievable. Yes. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let us not dream so big, and honestly speaking, there is nothing on the ground that can guarantee that what you are actually dreaming about will come to, will materialize. It's like me waking up today and I say, you know what, in 2 years' time, I should be driving a Benz. How? What am I going to do so different from now that will guarantee that I'll drive a Benz that I've not been able to do in the previous 2 years. Yeah. Mm.
But people to partner up with the other CPAs, get work,
That's true. That is why I'm saying don't only dream, how? You've got to answer that question, how? And when you try to attempt to answer that question, how, in your heart of hearts you see it happening. Chances are that maybe in 5 years time, not 2, to be honest with yourself, because the how is informing you how you will achieve it. Let us not have an unanswered house in whatever it is we plan to do, because when you get so frustrated, discouraged, when you never see your dreams come to pass, there has to be a plan. You have to be so deliberate on what you're going to do, so different, to make you achieve whatever it is you need. Okay? Yeah, yes, please.
Are you saying we should do one business because we want to do a mass number of businesses and you can't be there in all of them at the same time? So how do I do it if I want to do more than one business and I can't be there all the time?
Number one, before you embark on any business, you should be knowledgeable. If the many businesses you want to do, there are some you are not knowledgeable, you need to acquire the skills, either not to be cheated or not to make costly expenses. First, start with what you are very knowledgeable about. You can never underplay the importance of your being there. If the businesses you want to add to the one that you've mastered cannot be done either in the same premises, it is useless to start so many businesses and at the end of the day you are benefiting only from the one where you are at. I would rather than spread so thinly because I want to touch everything, I invest in this one thing that I am so passionate about. All the others could be good ideas, but probably you are not passionate. That is why, in your opinion, you can even think of, let me give it to so and so to run it for me. That's because your passion is not really, if you're honest with yourself, it is somewhere else. So let us start with what we are passionate about. Many times when you are focused, probably from that focused business where you're putting your thought pattern to, I'm telling you, if you have to go through this process for many businesses, chances are that you will not be as effective or take off the way you would want if you concentrated on one. Start with one. Let that one birth others, but not others that are so far from it, but rather either feed into it or feed into, like maybe they are birthing into another or they are feeding into another. Try to have businesses that are linked to support that one. That from that one business, you're actually increasing revenue by opening up other products. You understand? Try to focus. If your attention is on many things, chances are that you will not be very effective. And you stand a chance of losing one. We cannot serve more than one master at a go. It's very hard. You would rather put that money in something that... Yes, please.
There's the notion that women is a multitasker. Business?
It does. It does. The multitasking, as long as you are trying to focus on one. Our level of multitasking is, I can be here, maybe I sell mandazi, and I'm thinking, you know what, What I'm trying to say, you're opening up another business. You say, no, I think I can also do kabalagala. Do you realize that that is another avenue? And yet at the same time, the same person is doing it. You're doing different things. You're now mandazi kabalagala, and you say, you know what? I think I also better start baking. It is another line. You're targeting another customer. But you're still in that area where you can still supervise your different avenues that are coming out of that. Then you realize, you know what, one of my ingredients is actually bananas. I better plant bananas in this garden I have. Okay? So now you begin bananas. Bananas are feeding into your kabalagala because you will use some of it to do without buying. And yet at the same time, as you're selling your kabalagala, you can sell some bananas. So you can, but whatever you're doing, let it be either supporting that business you've birthed, or is not so far that you can actually do everything you intend to do within that. You could be having a restaurant. Then you're saying, now I'm going to do catering services, offer catering services. But do you realize that much as you're still serving people food locally where you are, now you're going for functions? Is that changing who you are and your business? You're still cooking from here. You're still using the same workers, but now you're out there. You're selling food to weddings, people who are having weddings, introductions and whatever. So just try to have a business that you are so passionate about, and from that business birth others, either that support it. For instance, you have a restaurant, you say, now I'm buying land to plant the sweet potatoes, the cassava, the matoke, the whatever. It is another business. Why? And I rear some birds, some goats, some, cows. What are they for? I'm not taking them to the butchers. Probably they can grow to the level that I can supply butchers. But I should be able to feed into my business. And if I need to sell, I can sell. But try to make sure that whatever business you are saying you are going to be involved in, it's either supporting you by feeding into, or it is going to your end time or whatever customer. Don't go so far from where you've said, this is what I'm passionate about. Is that clear? Yes, please.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm a baker, but when you are baking, you use utensils, you use basins, you have to wash. I was buying soap. You'd use it for 1 week, it would get finished. I said, why don't I make my soap? So now I'm making my liquid soap. I use it for washing my utensils. I use it washing for my uniforms, because it is a multi-purpose soap. Yes.
You see? But she could also grow that arm, because it's not affecting her location and where she's doing it from. She's in her business. And as she goes to supply cakes, she talks to her people who buy. By the way, I have very good liquid soap. Leaves samples. So you begin now another income line. Bottom line, I'm trying to say, whatever you are doing or choosing to diversify into, it should not take you away or draw your attention away from what you're saying you're passionate about. Yes, please.
But for those who have already diversified and maybe far from your business, I think solutions need to be looked at also.
Those hard questions have to be answered.
But also, you have to realize also you have a consultant here, Engineer Martin, he can give you management systems, so that since you guys are spread out, you might need to talk to him to give you something to manage and look at all the businesses you have. So anyone who has multiple businesses need management systems. And the other person here who can handle it first.
Sure.
Well,
Basically, in line with what we've learned here from the financial management point of view, that for each business, you have to be profit-oriented, but it has to be measured. Now, you might be diverse ideas. You are doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. But each of those component things you're doing, if you are to recognize them as businesses, that means you must all give you profit. You must all be measured. So what we do at ICT Embedded is enable you to have overall visibility of how your businesses are running and not to be running up and down or not to be chasing employee A, employee B. So yes, we give you that overall, we are able to design the system to give you end-to-end visibility of your operations. Yes.
Thank you. There you go. We have a resource in the house who can help us with the monitoring, okay, of these businesses that we have. All right. Do we have any other questions? I don't know how much time I have left. We don't have a clock here. What's the time? 11:30. Okay. 1 hour to go. Now, maybe I take us through bookkeeping as well, so that we can have enough time for this business planning. I would really want us to go through the thought process. I would definitely be visiting. I would prefer maybe we are in a group, in 2 groups. But it would be nice to know that the concepts that we have shared here in our groups, we've actually taken note of what really must happen. I would expect us after this to be able to advise people that are within our reach, because not everyone may be able to have the opportunity to come at HOR and go through such a training, but we have people we meet who are struggling with certain things. My expectations from this is that we should be able to sit down. You can sit down with someone, help them with their business idea, answer certain tough questions that need to be answered, and you see the birth of such an idea for whoever it is you're interacting with. Because of this experience, so it is important to me that we go through this experience. You may have had your business take off and it's successful. Probably you're at a certain level. In your team, there may be someone who is still struggling, that may need that kind of counsel. So let us also take it so seriously. Okay? Yes, please.
Just a question.
Yes, I'm listening.
With regard to the pricing, you say you do not want to be a million of sorts, or a big area as a whole. When you're selling at a higher price, the same product, and the rest of the players within the same market, very low or lower prices. So my question is, how do you sell a service and not a product that is not new at a higher price, assuming your value proposition is quality assurance?
How do you sell?
I mean, how do I position that such a sell?
Number one,
Service.
yes. Services, of course, they have one challenge. It's not tangible. It is someone's experience. Please help me display. It is someone's experience from the kind of service you're offering them. And people are willing to pay so much because of the experience they've had. Okay? So for me, how you will be able to sell at a higher price a certain service? Number one, it depends on who you're targeting. What do they want? Are you able to package your service in such a way that they are willing to pay for it? I'll give you an example. There is a lady, she's a very good veterinarian doctor. She used to go around vaccinating, blah, 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 treating animals for people at almost peanuts. She would get a taxi, carry her equipment, get into a taxi, come to a client, whatever, does a very good job, treats, they pay her peanuts as long as she's able to recover her transport. That was good. It's a service. And they would still call her back because if it was an illness, the animal recovered. Okay? So they would call her whenever they see signs of the same repeated sales. Now one time, a friend tells her, you are really good with animals. You love animals. I don't know whether you've heard about Mama Pig. She even calls herself Pig because she loves pigs. They call her Mama Pig. She will nurture the animal, be so passionate about it. She does weird things. For animals, she just loves animals. Now someone told her, I've got you a client. You cannot afford to ask for this 50K. This is an expatriate. Their dog is sick. And they need. She says, but no, that is okay. 150. Said, no, you cannot charge that. That is someone who can afford to pay 500K. What are you talking about? Get rid of this underpricing yourself for a very good service you offer. And she said, now what do I do? She said, it looks sophisticated. She says, put on your your gown, have all these gadgets hanging around your neck. Don't carry your gadgets in this funnel. Go and buy a proper, sophisticated something. I know you use taxis, but please the same, arrive in a special. You understand? You don't have a car fine. The way you present yourself when you're offering a service, that is how people will treat you. You come as a juakari, someone looks at you, that is what they expect. You tell them a certain price, they look at how you're dressed and the way you presented yourself, and they will say, no, you 200K. For a service they will pay someone else because of the way they presented themselves at 1 million. So a service provider, the way you package your product and the way you present yourself is very important. It's what determines what people are willing to pay. This lady went in a sophisticated way with gadgets, some of which she even didn't need, but had to do certain tests. And because she was targeting more money from the usual 50K, she even wrote a report, a diagnosis of what the animal is suffering from, and her recommendation on what can be done to maintain the health of the animal, to avoid repeated illnesses. The guy was willing to pay 500K for a service she has been offering everyone else, sometimes at 25,000, sometimes at 50. So, how you package and how you present yourself is very important if you're a service provider. Okay. Now, yes. A download. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, maybe a little bit about that lady. They brought her one time at our school to inspire us. She loves it. But anyway, for her just to talk to you, 500, just talking. So they invited her and she was talking to people. They were asking people, what businesses do you want? Some people wanted to be property masters, so they brought property consultants. People who have started small but have progressed. Some wanted to be, agriculturists, so they brought her to talk to us about birds, about pigs and those cows. For her, that was her specialty. So she actually talked to us and told us how she started. She had tried and she was failing to get jobs. So her dad had like 100 by 100 at home. That is where she started from. In the compound, she began her business. She does weird things. A case in point, like her hens, she feeds them on maggots. Maggots. She even doesn't use gloves. Where does she get maggots? Because of the pigs she rears. There, she puts it somewhere. When they wrote, she says for her best investment are flies. If she can attract flies on the village, that is her investment. So she prepares for them where they can land. Within a few days, the whole lot is full of maggots, and now she comes to pick with her hands. Put them in whatever's. Her birds are mature, ready for sale in 2 months. Those are broilers. Big, giant ones. But she feeds, my God, she does weird things. But the way she did it is one thing feeds into another. She doesn't buy gas, it is that same, She sells matoke. Her matokes are giant matokes. Now, she also stepped into vegetables. And the way she packages, she says, I can sell the same cucumber 10 times the price in the market because of my packages. Look at my packages. Indeed, you are willing to buy. The corporates, those are her targeted people. Because she has so many pigs, she even has a van. She just comes and positions. They know on this day Mama Piggy is bringing her pork. She will slaughter them, comes with the best chef, position herself. She has these vans that can be driven. She packs. They roast from there. So people know on this day she's here, on this day she's here. They just keep following her up. What I was telling you is when you do a business, let it feed into another. Don't divert so far away from what you're saying you're so passionate about. But that is Mama Pig. You research about her. You will be surprised at what you will find. And she has started a school to teach people. She's the one who actually attends to the president's cow in Rachtura. He identified her. Simple lady making lots of money. What did she say she earns? A lot of money on a daily, in millions. Because of those small things that she's feeding into the same thing, and she has made her life very different. If you saw her, you may not believe the way she takes care of herself. You will only be blown away when you see the car she's driving to leave your premises. But she has tried to be simple, but tries to know, study the customer. What do they want? That is what she will give you. So something for us to think about. Now this is bookkeeping. I'm going to be pretty fast. Bookkeeping can end up being so complex depending on whether it's an individual or a company. These are the so many things that happen around bookkeeping, as you can see. Processes that you go through now, that is a company. Okay? Petty cash, we need petty cash to buy this, do that. Those are some of the things. We have receivables, those are people who owe us money. It's part of bookkeeping, you're tracking all those ones. We have suppliers. At what cost am I buying items? You see? Purchases. What am I buying? In what quantities? From where? At what cost? Purchases. Recording. Are there taxes involved in what I'm dealing? Am I receiving money? How am I tracking the payments that people are making to me? The receipts. Statements for companies. You need to know. Be able to run a statement for a supplier or someone who owes you money. To avoid discrepancies. You owe me so much. No, I owe you so much. So statements. Okay? So even at an individual level, you may not have the systems or be able to afford systems to give you that kind of information. But there is a way we can structure it in a simple book to help you at that level. Although as a business grows, it is advisable to get at least someone who has some knowledge about bookkeeping, accountants. You may not afford one on a monthly basis in your payroll, but you have someone who comes around to prepare accounts for you, to tell you this is how much you've earned from these sales. If you don't have a system, you should be able to get that. If you're really interested in the growth of your business, it's important that you track your costs, your transactions. It gets quite interesting. Now, For example, we are stepping into a territory I had not been before, that is building our own house. And I told my husband, I have to track. At the end of the day, I should know how much this house has costed us. So it was simple, Excel. I said, what have they quoted for foundation? What do they require? So I tabulated them. And then I said, you know what? I have also to track. This is a cost they've given me. I should be able to engage this person when they say, we need 50 bags of cement at 30,000. They quoted this. The last time we bought it was at this. So I should be able to track the unit. Because so I put a column for the cost at which we've actually bought. And then tracked how much we actually paid. And then, you know, what is the variation from what they, for every level. It was amazing. On each level, and I would know now, foundation, these are the people we owe money, so and so. This one, we paid them on this day, we paid mobile money, we paid cash, we paid this, the running balance is this. On each and every one of them. Now, that is what you're supposed to do for your business. You should be able to track, ultimately. You should be able to know, in this month I have made so much. So much I have received cash, but there are people who still owe me. In this particular month that I'm ending, there are people I still owe money. Mr. Wakato, so much. What happened? How did that come about? I bought this and this and this. I was able to pay so much on this day, on this day, on this day. So much remains outstanding. And you are in agreement. If you don't, that is what I'm talking about. You should be able to have all these things somehow feeding in. Now, I'll try to draw up something here for people who don't have systems to support them. Probably a book where you can keep track of some of these things, just to help us better appreciate. But record keeping is important. Otherwise, you can be seated there thinking, I am making money. I have made, can you imagine I've hit the 10 million mark in a period of 2 months? And you are not aware that out of that 10 million, so much has gone into transport, so much has been paid to suppliers. Actually, the people you owe money, there is still even a balance. And yet the people who owe you money have actually all cleared. What does that mean? I need to borrow money to be able to pay these suppliers, so I actually did make money. Either I underpriced the items I sold, or I withdrew some of the money I thought I had made to meet other things, family needs, you know, other things, or reinvested in something. So it is very important. This is a very important topic we are getting into. So what is bookkeeping? The recording on a day-to-day basis. If at all what you're doing, that's why I said you need to be involved in a business. On a daily, you should be able to sit back and say, I was able to sell ABC. At what price? I sold to this one so much, because some are not yet in structured prices. It depends on who you are selling to. Some you may have sold at a higher price, some at a lower price. You should be able to have that information recorded somewhere. But on a daily, before you forget, otherwise you will not remember where your money came from and where it has gone. On a daily, if that is what you are doing, it will be very challenging if this is a side business. So if it is a side business, whoever you've put in position to do that, they should be able to give you that report on a daily. And when they give it to you on a daily, you don't just get the report and go home. Verify. So if you're not there and you've decided to delegate to someone, assign them that responsibility. Number one, find out before that day how the business, what stock was in store. You will have to work longer, more. Find out how much do we have. This and this and this. According to this, you say you've sold 5. Yesterday I left 10. What has happened? Why are we having only 2? Where are the 3? It will require you to get involved. so that you are able to reconcile. This is where we started from. And you're saying you've sold this, I expect this. Where are they? Okay? On a daily, so that you're picking records that you are sure of that have been verified. Don't wait for end of month, and I'm talking about people maybe who are into retail. But others may be that you chapati people, you've got some chapati people who are selling things, chapatis at the roadside. Maybe you have one here, one there. No. That's why I said you need to know how many chapatis are in a pack. If I've given you 5 packs today, I expect that you have made so many chapatis. So if they are not physically there, where is the money? So you need to be involved. That record keeping, do not delegate. If you're not able to do it, get the report, verify that what you're being given is actually true. And there is proof. And that proof you find on hand, that is the money. On a daily, remove it. Because you don't want to tempt someone to divert it into other things. If you pay them on a daily, pay them after you've reconciled and you're comfortable with that position, remove the money, bank it. So I'm emphasizing it's a daily thing you have to do of the financial transactions and information that pertains to the business. Don't mix transactions for other things. Your salary, blah, blah, blah. We are tracking your business. It ensures that records of the individual financial transactions are correct. That is the verification I'm talking about. And up to date. And they are comprehensive. You will not be able to delegate this one. If you are not in a business, yourself. If you are in the business, then you be keen even the more to do that. So accuracy is very vital, otherwise you'll be making mistakes based on wrong information. Financial transactions, I'm referring to anything that has to do, you've carried out, you've either sold, someone is paid you cash, or you've sold and it's a credit, you've given someone on credit, or you have bought from someone and you've paid cash, or you've left a debt there. So those are the transactions we are talking about. Now, some of the transactions include they've given you cash, checks, they have deposited money on your bank account, you've paid some suppliers, you've requested money to buy certain things. When you get up and you're saying, I'm going to buy ABC for the business, record those things and how much it has costed you. Your purchases, your invoices, these are for businesses that can actually now give out even invoices, system generated invoices preferably. You're tracking your debtors, your creditors, your expenses, your income through record keeping. Okay? If you have a system, you post those transactions. If you do not have a system, you're recording them in a book. Now, there are 4 types of financial transactions. It's either sales or you're purchasing. Okay? And either they are giving you, you're receiving money, or you're paying. So those are the 4 types of transactions. As a business owner, you should have your grip on. Transactions. A transaction is a business event that has monetary impact on your company. Anything that is going to cost you. Either you will get money or spend money. That is a transaction we want to track. For instance, a supplier, we have already talked about that. You have a worker that you're paying some money to do for you that business that you have to track. Now, when you are doing bookkeeping, this is for purposes of people maybe who have tried to automate some of the the reporting. We have single entry bookkeeping. In this one is commonly used by small businesses with little or very minimal transactions. An example, you record, again, it's a category, either an income account or an expense account. You're there recording this. I've sold, on this day, I've sold sweet potatoes. shillings this, on this day I've sold. You're just tracking your income and then your expenditure as well. It can be done in a cash book. I have an example here. I'll be showing you. A cash book is one of the records you should have as a business holder, especially small businesses. It's the basic. In this cash book, what you're tracking is I've started the day with 100,000, or the month, or the week. So you put it at the extreme. That's the money I've started with. Well, I'm starting a business with 100,000. Then you begin showing, what have I bought? I bought, what example do we use? No, I will show you, it's displayed there, but I want to first explain so that we appreciate. You show a column that has all your expenses. You date them and what it is we are paying. Then you have a column for all your income. That income adds to your balance you had. While the expenses are reducing on the amount of money you have because you're giving it away. Okay? So that is what a cash book is. It just shows a list of, like an example here, it's in dollars. I just wanted a pictorial. I'm showing on this particular day, I started my business or my week with maybe $5,000. On the second day, I paid rent. You see where it is? In the expense column. And on this day, I was able to sell so much to so and so. I got so much. It doesn't have a lot of information, and I will tell you why. All it's doing is to track your money at every one point in time. You should be able to say, I should be having 10,000. And indeed, it is 10,000. It helps you answer, where did this money come from and what have I spent it on? Irrespective of where you've spent the money, you've remained with a balance or not, this one won't tell you. But it will be tracking for you your money that you have, where it's coming from, and when, how much, and what you spent, when and on what. That's all. How many of us realize that is not complete information? We need more than this. We need to know more than how much have I got, what have I spent on, what is my balance. But that is what a cash book does. And it's also important for especially small businesses, because cash is the bloodline if you are to sustain your business. Now there is a double entry. I will not go into details with this one. This one is for accountants, where they show debit, credit, and when you debit this one, whenever someone pays, you go through a double entry process. Let me not trouble your minds with this. But as your business grows, you need people who can do this kind of posting. This one has sold. When this person sold an item at $1,500, 50% they negotiated with our buyer. 50% the person paid cash. That is the cash account. You're debiting it. The other trade receivable is the money that person owes you. They've promised that they will pay you. So a summation of what they have paid cash and the amount they owe you should equal to the money you're saying is my revenue for that period. That's accounting jargon. When they pay, you say, now I've received cash, the $750. And now even the person who owed me money has now been cancelled out. That is why you're crediting them. But initially, it was a debit because you were expecting to receive that money. Now you need a professional, an accountant, to be able to get you this, because this then helps you with the preparation of financial statements, like income statements, the balance sheet, cash flow, statement of equity, which may sound like French to a small business person who is dealing in small scale things. You may not yet reach there. But as your business grows, you need people to help you with this. It's very important. Otherwise, one day, URA can descend on you because they've seen your business has taken off. You have no records. They come up with estimates, and those estimates are meant to help you close shop as you struggle to pay what, according to them, you owe URA. So as your business grows, it's very important that you step in that space. How to do accounting for small business? One, you've got to open a bank account. I don't know whether we have bank accounts that are separate from personal accounts. If you have the same account, there are high chances that your money is going to end up into other things. You think you're making a lot of money, and yet you're borrowing to buy supplies and what have you. Please separate your business account from your personal account. You can, as well as a small business person, have money your own that you use for your own things somewhere else. But at least open a bank account. Why a bank account? You will have to be so deliberate to say, let me go to the bank and withdraw money. On your way to the bank, you are thinking, must I really withdraw this money? What am I going to use it for? There are things, it gives you an opportunity to think through certain things before you actually plan to go and withdraw. But when you have your money easily accessible, conveniently, you can withdraw it, then your business is likely to suffer. Put it where you cannot easily access it. And if you have to access it, it is backed up by a genuine reason for you to do that. And even the profits that you make, it would be good to put them there. Then as a small business owner, track your expenses. It's important. We've already said that. I cannot re-emphasize it. Bookkeeping is very important. Paying your workers is very important. And I hope you still remember that you're also part of the workers. You should also factor that in. And then determine how you will also get paid. It was the last thing. So what is the importance of bookkeeping to the business owner? I'm saying many small companies don't actually hire full-time accountants. I said you can, as a small business owner, instead hire someone who comes and compiles this information, consolidates them, and is able to tell you in this particular month you've either made a profit or a loss. It would be good on a monthly basis, because then that informs you, what do I do? Maybe this business is not profitable before, it encroaches and gets you more indebted, and you eventually have to close shop. Monthly, getting someone to look into your records, preparing financials to help you appreciate where you are, can help you make drastic decisions that do not necessarily make you end up into indebtedness and eventually closing business. So let us not ignore the importance of having someone look into your financials based on the records that you have to tell you whether you're making money or not. So one important thing to note here is that many people who intend to start a new business sometimes overlook the importance of matters such as bookkeeping of every penny that we spend. The people in this room are not going to do that. Now, there are certain basic bookkeeping things that you cannot ignore as a business owner. One of them is cash. Okay? It doesn't get more basic than this. I was saying, all your business transactions pass through the cash account, which is so important that often bookkeepers actually use two accounts. They look at the cash receipts and cash disbursements. Those are payments. Like they just maintain two things. This is what we've received. This is what we've spent. I'm just saying, please put, if that is what you want, put it on one record. You show what you have spent, you show what you have received, you show what you started with, and you keep adding the running balance. You keep adding what you have received, and you keep subtracting what you have spent, so that at any one point in time, the money you expect if you've done your proper record keeping, tallies with what you physically have. Okay? When a debtor pays, you put debtor has paid, so cash has come in. In brackets, it is Mr. Musoke. Okay? Sorry. The other one is account receivables. Those are the people that owe you money. Some of the services we offer or goods that we supply, people are not able to pay us the whole amount. Please don't ignore the need to track. You've got to open a page for all your suppliers. You get a book. You call it My Debtors. All the people that buy things from me. Okay? In that book you show Mr. Musoke. If you get a supplier, someone who buys from you, Mr. Musoke, you put the heading Mr. Musoke's account. What happens with Mr. Musoke? On this day, 10th June, what did he buy from me? He bought from me eggs. Quantity, he bought 10. At how much did I sell? I sold at this price. How much income have I got from Mr. Musoke? The 10 trays times the selling price I sold that to him. So this is the income I got. Does he owe me any money? Yes. He paid me only so much cash. What is the balance? This one. Now, even Mr. Musoke, the other thing that I would want us to put, the things I'm telling you are not that they are in accounting. I'm just trying to open your mind how you can get so much information from your record keeping. Mr. Musoke's contact should be there. Mr. Musoke, contact 075 this, that. What is it about Mr. Musoke? He wants to be supplied eggs every 2 weeks. It is a note on Mr. Musoke's what? Book or page. Now you note, when should I contact Mr. Musoke? For the 10 trays. What am I trying to say? When you get a buyer, try to engage them. How often would you want me to supply you eggs? So that you're able to track. In your book you write, when am I next supplying on this day? Mr. Musoke hasn't called me the day before that day. You call Mr. Musoke. Last time, around this time, you bought so much of this item. I had it ready. Can I deliver it tomorrow? It is still at the same price of... Why are you saying all that information? You have it. You have a page for Mr. Musoke. He hasn't paid you before you leave. Mr. Musoke, you've only given me so much. When do you intend to pay me the balance? No, check on me after tomorrow. Why I'm saying you need to record on a daily. In Mr. Musoke's you write, when am I expecting? This day. From Mr. Musoke is when he promised me. I have his contact, how much it is, this one. And so you're tracking Mr. Musoke. Then you go to another supplier, another data. Someone, maybe you supplied something else. That information repeatedly, you have a book for yourselves. Now in that book, even if you're not able, you can tell your wife or whatever, I'm unable to, but please check in that book. Which are the orders that need to be followed up for this week? And someone can easily just go to the book and get that information. You have it in writing. In the event that you have to hand over business to someone, they are starting on information is available. They know who your supply, the people who buy from you. They know where they are located if you've provided that information. The contact is there. They see the price at which you've been selling certain things. Why I'm saying don't assume that it is the same. A time comes when you have to increase the price. And then someone begins complaining, but I used to buy from you, and now you've increased the price. You're becoming expensive. You should be able to comfortably say, Mr. Musoke, have you noticed that for a period of 1 year, I never increased the price for these items? I say, why? You have the records. You may not have the systems. but you have it on record. You can engage someone and you even tell them that you have even been, your credit terms have kept on increasing, your credit terms to you. Why? It's on record. We began at this, now you pay me a quarter, and then after 2 weeks, and what? Where are you getting that information? Your record. So you need to be able to track these people who owe you, and the ones that pay cash. I may have no running balance. You can now tell someone, you have been a good customer to me. You always pay me whenever I supply. Because of that, I am giving you maybe a tray of eggs this week as a bonus. Retention strategy. What are you basing on? You're looking at your records. So members, it's important. That is how important bookkeeping is. The other is stock. These are people who have supermarkets, retail shops. You should be able to track your inventory. Surprise ones, don't structure them in such a way. May I come in the evening and I check what is left there, and I check what is in the system. No. Let someone expect you to come in the evening and you come at lunchtime and say, no, I just want to verify to see how much have you sold. We began with this. That's why I was saying, on a daily, you should never go home and you say, my day has ended. You've left your business with someone else without first going to verify, how did the day go? We started from here. Where are you right now? And what is on the shelves? And don't leave it as a responsibility for the shop attendant to alert you and tell you, by the way, this item is soon expiring. It is your responsibility. It's your baby. Get time to look at the expiry dates of those items. Because you are the owner, you're the one who has invested money in this. Look at them, read the whatever, take note. These things are soon expiring. But why is this supplier bringing us these things that are soon expiring? You know, because you are in the business, you may not be physically there, but when you come, you make sure you leave no stone unturned. So that is inventory. You should be able to have a system where you record. You may be selling a certain type of biscuits. You open up a page for biscuits, that type of biscuits. I began this business with 10 cartons. How much are in each carton? 12. 12 times 10 and 120. On this day, this lady told me she sold 2. How many do I expect to find? These. You are tracking those things yourself. People will not be able to do it for you. And even if they do, you have to pay them. If you're not able to afford them, do it yourself. And that is if you're really interested in that business. If it is something you see you cannot sustain, then chances are, watomela, instead of making more losses, back off. It's not just about having a presence in a market. If ultimately it's going to eat up your little investments and leave you even indebted. Now, accounts payable, those are people you owe money. Sometimes people supply certain items to us. You should be able to track. It is so and so. This is my supplier for eggs, Mr. So and so. You open a page for that Mr. So and so who supplies you eggs. At what quantity? How often? You should be able to get that information from the way you're keeping your records. At what price? Whenever you are tracking the cost at which you're buying these items, you keep adjusting. Chino nachuguze 8,500. But we started at, the ones he supplied me last time were at 9,000. You keep adjusting like that, because that is what will inform you that these eggs this time I've got them at 10,000 and yet I'm selling things at 11. I better negotiate. The price is increasing. Negotiate with the people who are buying from me that I'm increasing by so much. If you're not tracking who your suppliers are, how much you buy from them, how often you buy from them, at what price each purchase was done at, to know how much you're actually spending, it will be very hard for you to know the cost you're incurring in whatever it is you're selling. And therefore, it will be very hard for you to know whether you're making a profit or a loss in that whatever season you're looking at. But remember, I've told you, this is a daily review. The loans and the money we owe people, debts, people you borrowed money from to start your business, please don't ignore. You write, I owe so and so. This is how much. They gave me so much on this day. I paid this on this using mobile money over cash. If it is cash, they have signed that they acknowledge that they have received that money, and I'm tracking my balance. If it is a loan, my loan is due on this day. How much? So much. Where do I pay it? Here. Contacts of such people. In all this, I'm saying it's very important in whatever you're keeping to track the contacts of those people. So many years down the road, some people may drop away. But if you have your contacts, you can resurrect that business relationship with them by just referring back to your book. They may have been disgruntled about something that you have resolved. You call them up and say, by the way, we had stopped the business with you because of ABC. I'm here to inform you that that has been resolved. This is what we have done. So I request us to reinstate that business, whatever. So contacts are very important. Now the sales, I've already talked that. That one will help you track how much money you've made in terms of revenue, not profit, from the different people that you're selling to, and the purchases as well. It would be a good idea to keep the purchases book alone, to keep the sales book alone, because of the too much information we are having to feed in to help us. If you're paying any people, and then owner's equity, the money that you are investing in, you as a business owner, you're investing money. Please track it. I've so far put in so much. 1 million. Where did it come from? I may have borrowed money from a bank. I may have used my salary. But this is capital I'm putting into this business. It's good to track it. Of course, the retained earnings, though, that is the profit you make at the end of every year that you choose not to spend, but keep accumulating. I would recommend that every profit you make at the end of the period you're looking at, for starters, maybe monthly, you keep it on a reserve account. You just keep keeping it there, so that what you're considering as retained profits of a period of time is physical cash lying on a certain account somewhere, growing to be reinvested, so that you don't have that thing that I made so many profits. A few years down the road, we are saying, okay, all those accumulated profits, where are they? Can we invest them in this? And it is just something you just thought you had, but it actually doesn't exist, because it has already been spent in other avenues. Your profits that you're considering as retained profits, physically deposit them somewhere, and so that you're able to see them grow. I would recommend in a place where you cannot easily access them. There are those investment arms, UAP, ICEA, Britain merged with Prudential something. Prudential. Keep money where it keeps now also growing, earning interest. Okay? So that it is also growing on its own. Many years down the road, you can be able to say, that is what I did with my business. And this is what I've accumulated over time. Get it out of operations. Now, 6 financial areas to focus your attention on. Business plans. I heard you talk about business strategy. Yeah, those strategic plans, they are actually business plans where you can project where you will be in 1 to 5 years' time and how you plan to achieve those desired ends. Those are business plans. We've talked a lot about them. Another area, your revenue, your expenses. I cannot re-emphasize that. You will be able to comfortably know that position if you are doing accurate and complete record keeping. And once in a while, you get someone to actually prepare financials for you. It will help you. Bookkeeping is very important. The cash flow, where your money is coming in and where you're spending. It's important that the money you're getting in is far more than what you are spending in terms of cash flow. Then payroll, you monitor. If there are certain things you can do for yourself as you start your business, it would be very good to avoid certain costs if you can. But if they are inevitable, then make sure you are avoiding issues of overstaffing. We are monitoring our expenditures. And as a business grows, URA will one of these days be interested in your business. So you should be able to get even tax consultants so that you are found to be compliant. Otherwise, if they descend on you because they realize you are not compliant, you could easily close shop. I think that's the end of it. Thank you. Okay, do we have any more questions? I'm sure I've run out of time. It's okay. What time is it? 20.